What's going on, guys? We have a super awesome guest here today. He's from server 1126. Funny enough, his name is HawkTUAH. He's definitely, I would say, one of the strongest people on 1126. He was the former president of the server. He has a lot of experience with spending habits, like how to get the most out of your money in Last War, things like that. So he's going to be diving into how to maximize your growth as a free-to-play player, low-level spender, mid-level spender, and your server, basically how to grow the server as a whole if you are in a leadership position. So whether you're spending $0 a month or whether you're spending a couple thousand a month, this episode's packed with strategies to help you grow faster in Last War and even build a stronger server community along the way. So let's get right into it. All right, Hawk, welcome to the podcast. I've been hearing a lot about you from Nixie. If you guys haven't heard, I did an episode with Nixie a while back. Make sure you check it out after this one. But yeah, Hawk, he's a very big name in server 1126, former president as well of the server. So Hawk, thanks for jumping on.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm glad to be part of this crusade you're having to help people.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you give people a little bit of context, just like how long you've been playing, things like that? Just like your experience?
I've been playing over a year and a half. When I started the game, I felt like, I struggled. I was just pressing buttons, and, I felt quite inadequate. So I got asked by a lot of people early on, like most people have.
Yep.
And I joined two alliances, and they provided minimal support and knowledge. So it got me frustrated, and I created my own alliance, and that was fun. It was named Spit. And the whole purpose of that was to help people like me who are struggling, and then just give every knowledge, tips, and tricks I found, and just give it to them via email, alliance chat, and to have them grow just like I did. And I wanted to have them be with me so that they can also enjoy the war wins and, winning with me.
For sure. What would you say it was like? Because I know you were server president of 1126. What was it like being the server president?
It was tough. So when I took presidency, I felt that I was responsible for the well-being of the entire server, and that there wouldn't be any difference from running an alliance. I took pride in the people who played the game with me, and we have a united goal to crush other servers. But being the president, I was so wrong. Being a president is not an easy task. You get the title, the power of the skin, like 5% for that week is nice, but it comes with a lot of stress. I wanted to make sure that players are running the well-oiled machine and prepare for versus or war zone. But when you have the entire week of people saying, hey, I got into this mess or that, it just becomes a lot of trouble. So intervening before a fight breaks out between players or alliances, it was tough. And you got to foster relationship between leaders within the server and cross servers. And, when all else failed, I just took the approach of going into the battlefield with the MAD approach, mutual assured destruction analogy. And just just crush them. If you can't beat them, just crush them. And then they all somehow get a sense of like, oh yeah, let's work together.
Yeah, for sure. I guess the next thing before we really jump into things, because obviously, a lot of this podcast is going to be talking about basically just how to grow accounts from being free to play, low spender, mid spender. Those are kind of be the main topics. What is your experience growing your accounts and also like your server in general besides being president? Like, how have you helped people grow their accounts, and how have you grown your account?
So once I got the knack of growing my account, my goal became to help everyone do the same. I wanted everybody to be with me. The goal evolved to create a group of people who can relay the message and my teaching to all the other players, beginners or strugglers, or even, whales at that point. And I just wanted them to be in the helping mindset, because the more you help each other, the better you get to be when it comes to Warzone. During Warzone, I'm only at my highest when I have people backing me up. So I got the whiff of fun when I saw the world chat and alliance chat, how players and groups of people were coordinating and took down someone who they thought couldn't be defeated, and them helping each other and growing and creating their own little clique. That became really, really fun. So I wanted to foster that,
Hmm.
make them grow.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it definitely showed. I mean, whenever we faced you guys in SVS, I mean, you guys were the ones that gave us a bunch of trouble. I mean, obviously there's help from outside servers as well, but you guys definitely put up a really solid fight and things like that. So I think it definitely was starting to pay off for sure.
Yeah, and that was the whole thing. Is like, hey, we're not the strongest, but we sure are going to be coming with numbers and coming with, helping other servers became like, oh, you know what? We will also be there for you guys to
Mhm.
accomplish this huge feat or win or whatever you call it.
Oh yeah, for sure. So let's just dive into the growth strategies for different tier level players. So let's start off with the free to play players. So what are some of the daily and weekly priorities? So like events you never want to miss, best way to use stamina, where to focus building, tech, all that stuff. Like what are the main things that you should be focusing on like pretty much every day and every week as a free to play player?
So the thing that I'm gonna say is whether if you're free to pay players or whales or megalodons, you want to be able to do these basic tasks every day. This applies for everyone. So I try to play the game as frugally and with a time constraint as possible.
Hmm.
My outlook is how can I take advantage of the game and what it has to offer first before I spend more than I must. Afterwards, which area do I need to focus on and how can I optimize the process for others can do it as well. So when I open the game, I have a mental checklist that I go through. That's to do, like, for instance, complete all the daily tasks as fast as possible.
Hmm.
Sure, the rewards aren't as much, but those minimal tasks add up to the end of the week and it helps you accomplish a lot of stuff
Hmm.
while you're going through. Secondly, I focus on plundering until I achieve 45 million resources.
Hmm.
I know people don't like to, but I only attack players that are not in an alliance and are inactive. If they ever responded back to me after I attack them, I don't attack them going after that.
Hmm.
The third thing I do is like, what is the current arms race on and how much can I complete? My goal is to get as many arms race tests open as possible since there's a new one every 4 hours. That helps you obtain a lot of resources and they're free and you kind of like it's required for your verses.
Hmm.
So why not?
Yeah.
The fourth thing I do is like do the verse requirements and I try to complete as much as possible and I try to combine them with the arms race.
Hmm.
It gives you all the rewards and you score up the points as well as like help out your alliance.
Hmm.
And the fifth, I ask this question: what are current events going on right now, and how much can I do? Are the rewards worth it? So certain events, you just like, do I want to spend the time and the stamina and the resources? You kind of have to make the judgment call.
Hmm.
But daily, you get, every 3 to 4 hours, your stamina is filled. Might as well use them.
Hmm.
So I don't hardly use my stamina packs as much. I try to use the game stamina to recover and then just use that. And if there's a certain event that comes on, I use a little bit of stamina just to get me going and get me the rewards that I want.
Hmm. Yeah, no, those are great. One thing too that I feel like was really helpful for me that it's not like something that big of a deal, but I think it does play a lot in the long term is making sure that you also set yourself up with the VIP. So like the 10,000 gems for the month of VIP, so you can get the constant, like you get a little bit of resources, and then you also get the three. Well, I think for me right now it's at 3 shards per day, basically extra to upgrade your heroes. I think also has been pretty helpful as well.
Yeah, and honestly, like I know that free to play players don't want to spend money, but the VIP is great way to get resources.
Hmm.
This game is very much a grind game, so the more resources you have, the better you're gonna be.
Hmm.
So early on, you should get the builders, and then focus a little bit on the VIP level, and then really like you don't have to pay as much. You can just keep on going.
Hmm. What about for like tech upgrades, decor, building upgrades, troop building? Like, where do you feel like free to play players get the best return between those main categories?
So early on, free to play players should focus on obtaining as much resource as possible to get the development tech tree done,
Hmm.
mainly the ones with increased or research building construction speed. So there are these output that comes in. They give resources, and you're kind of like you don't have to do anything. It's just those resource buildings are giving you the resources. So if you increase them when you log in the next time, you can just claim those resources.
Hmm.
Having them means you can increase your headquarters, tech's done a little bit faster, and just getting as much resources because that's what they struggle with. I would say rush to building upgrades done as quickly as possible, and you want to get to level 20 as fast as possible because 20 to 30 is a grind, and that's when you really need the resources
Hmm.
for techs as well as building upgrades. So you want to get them done as quickly as possible.
Hmm.
Those development tech fees.
Yeah. What about the resource boxes? Like, does it matter what you turn them into? Like, or should it only be like gold or iron or food?
So everybody knows gold is huge in this game. You are struggling to obtain as much gold because you need that for your weapons and gears,
Hmm.
and as well as tech. So what I would say is when you open up the game on your development tree, get those outputs done.
Hmm.
Get every single output that's for food, iron, and gold. Get them to max because that's going to generate you constant steady stream of resources that you are going to struggle to get. And once you have them, you can progress and you're not like hunting and starving for them. You're actually like it's easier for you
Hmm.
to grow your tech or your building structure.
Hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. I know, especially when you're trying to get those tier 10s, the gold is always something that everyone struggles to get.
Right.
um,
And those free to play players really need to consider like, hey, how many builders can I get and
mhm.
just utilizing them? And just really like setting up a strategy to make sure that you have all the builders always constantly building, as well as all the techs are constantly growing.
Mhm.
And part of that helps. And if you ask a lot of people in 1126, I always ask them, what is your level of Alliance Support Hub?
Mhm.
And have you upgraded those lawyers, survivors?
Mhm.
I hound them like crazy
Mhm.
that you have to get those lawyers up to like as high as possible and get your Alliance Support Hub because those are the key things that you need
Mhm.
for your upgrades.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Actually, I didn't even think about the survivors. I feel like survivors are kind of a big area that gets overlooked. Besides, I mean, I know there's obviously Taylor with the VIP stuff, which I'm sure you'll probably get into a little bit later with some of the other spenders, but besides that, I always kind of, and I feel like I've just neglected my survivors. I just upgrade kind of whatever just pops up on the top first as a UR survivor. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
something I need to take more
and you know what?
seriously.
Absolutely, and that's what most people sleep on. Is like it's like oh, it's survivors. Oh, they're gonna give a 2 second buff or whatever.
Hmm.
But if you think about it, if you combine the upgrades on your buildings and then you add the survivors, it increases how much you're gonna get out of each of those structures,
Mm.
right? So when you're generating 200,000, that becomes huge because now you're getting out of the five, you're getting 1 million resource every time you log in after a couple hours. And that becomes huge because now you can run your text, your buildings, and it's just generating.
Hmm.
So most people sleep on the survivors. Trust me, like I hound them, like, hey, what level are your survivors for this, for that? Because that's huge.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a good tip. I like that. What about joining the right alliance? Like, how can that boost growth for free to play players?
So this is where the Alliance Support Hub comes in.
Hmm.
if you join the right alliance, and there's only three aspects that the game puts you on. It's
Mm-hmm.
either you increase your research, or you increase your building structure, or you get troops. Troops are not really important as much because early on or even later on in the game, troops you can generate them or you're going to use diamonds or speed up to get them.
Mm-hmm.
But the building construction and tech trees become huge.
Mm-hmm.
So if you join one of those alliance, that 20% buff minimizes the long tech that's going to be coming and that you have to do to gain power. So you want to join the alliance that gives you the support with the research buff, as well as if they're active, you want them to help you get those buildings as much as possible. And that's where the lawyers comes in because the lawyers adds in more minutes. So if you have 30 help from your alliance, you do 30 times and you get 30 help for every time you do it. That's 30 times 30,
Yeah, that's
right?
a lot.
And that's huge chunk of time that gets chopped down
Mm-hmm.
right away. So you want to focus on getting to that alliance that has active players and are willing to help.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to target what do you need the most right now? Do you need construction? Well, join the alliance that has the construction maxed and they can help you lower some of that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you'd say free to players make that slow their growth? Like, what are the most common ones you've seen?
Biggest thing that everybody does, I feel, is that they don't ask for help.
Mm.
They don't know what they're doing. They don't ask for help, and they're just like at the beginning. I said, you're just pressing buttons. That's all they do. So
Mm.
ask for help.
Yeah.
Seriously, like whether if you're free to players or whales. I mean, whales have had reached out to me. It's like, hey, how can I increase this? Like, just ask. You know,
Yeah.
I'm available. Other players are available. Ask them, and do those daily tasks that you can accomplish. Asking help will help you do the task and have you grow faster. So why not just ask?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I don't understand this. Okay, can somebody clarify? Some people think that you're going to be a dumb person if you ask them. No, it's fine to ask and you can get the help and increase your level, your strength, and so on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think probably in every server, there's always going to be people that are way more experienced that will be more than happy to help you. So don't feel like just because you're not in the same server as me or Hawk or anyone else on that I've had on the podcast or the YouTube channel, like there's I'm sure people in your server that would be more than happy to help you that are very experienced as well.
And that's what I mean is like you want to encourage those free to play players like, hey, ask questions so we
Mm-hmm.
can get you to be good and to be better. You know, it's okay you don't spend. You
Mm-hmm.
can still participate. You can still enjoy the game.
Right. Yeah, 100%. So let's kind of shift gears now. I feel like we've really dove deep on the free to play stuff, and I think a lot of those principles also apply if you're a spender. It's just as a spender, there's obviously another element of like where you put your money. So let's start with the low spender. So how can somebody who's spending, let's say, maybe $50 to $100 per week, what would be the best value packs that they should be buying, and what one should they be avoiding?
So if you're a low spender, you should focus on getting those VIP survivors,
Mm-hmm.
especially like Adventure Taylor and the other one, I forget the name, but
Mm-hmm.
those are really good because as you're spending, your VIP status stays and they help you obtain resources that you don't have to do anything about,
Mm-hmm.
but to just do daily tasks. So going forward, whether if you're low, mid, or whales, do those daily tasks that free to pay players do, and then add on paying for the VIP status, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or and the super monthly pass. That's a great way to gain resource that is going to be every day, and you're not spending money on that every day
Mm-hmm.
to get those same amount of resources.
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards, I would say the daily sale and the daily must buys are the best to go spend.
Mm-hmm.
Packs are cheap. They target specific areas that you are have your eyes on, and you want ores. Buy the freaking ores pack. You you have no idea how much ores comes up later on in the game
Oh
or as
yeah.
you're growing. You know they are huge, but those daily sales are a great way to one. They give you diamonds the more you spend them
Mm-hmm.
on, and two, it targets just those specific areas that you're lacking on the game.
Mm-hmm.
They help you a lot.
Yeah. No, definitely. What about timing the purchases with certain events? Like, are there any events that when they come up, those are the ones, like, if you're going to spend, those are definitely the best times to spend?
You know, the old adage says timing is key.
Mm-hmm.
So if you purchase packs that can earn you rewards, should be the goal. Like
Mm-hmm.
extra rewards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning like if you know you can open all the arms race due to the lack of the requirements, buy the packs.
Mm-hmm.
You gain the resources needed and you fill the arms race packs. As you grow, the leveling of timing changes. For instance, sometimes when your alliance is pushing for those versus wins,
Mm-hmm.
it makes sense to purchase and get the alliance to win, so you get the alliance reward, the versus wins as well.
Mm-hmm.
When you spend it with a purpose. Like, what am I buying this pack for?
Mm-hmm.
Where can I utilize this pack for? And can it help my alliance? Because those are the same people who are going to be helping you in return. So when you're purchasing things, understand that the events, those special events, are great time to purchase those. And if you match it with arms race, great. Now you're getting multiple places more rewards for spending the same amount if you were to do it other times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, definitely. Double dipping, I think, is a huge thing in Last Tour in multiple areas, whether it's the arms race, whether it's different events. Like, there's a lot of areas where you can double dip and really make the most out of whatever the event or whatever your resources are and getting points, things like that. I think that's really important.
Absolutely.
What would you say, or is there even a way for low spenders to catch up or at least keep up with mid level spenders?
So between the low and mid spender, the gap, of course, is how deep is your pocket. However, you can still compete with them
Mm-hmm.
when you go to war with them. Change your spending habits to target areas you want to grow.
Hmm.
Often it falls on hero power, but I believe the best way to catch up is through upgrading your tech trees
Mm-hmm.
and managing your hero formation well.
Hmm.
So if you are growing your techs, you may not be able to beat them on the first 3 weeks, or you'll be catching up to them.
Hmm.
I taught many the nuance of how to defeat stronger opponents through tactics and calculated placement on purchases and growth. You might not make 100% impact, but you sure will leave an impression that they think twice to match up with you again.
Hmm.
That should be how your mindset should be. It's like, hey, I know I can compete with them because they spend more money,
Mm-hmm.
but as a low spender, you want to think like, I want to make an impact so that they think twice.
Hmm.
Don't mess with me.
Yeah.
Or I will make sure that you have less troops so that the guy who's in my alliance, who is bigger than you, can crush you.
Mm-hmm.
And if they get that feeling of like, I did something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's good. That's a great mindset to have. Is because I know even we've had talks about this when we've had different SVSs and stuff. When, let's say, like for our main whales was like Pitt, Neff, Binks, and Cole. So whenever they were whenever they were taking the cannons or the capital, whatever the case was, we were just saying like, hey, if you're a mid-level player, like garrison them. Like even if there's someone stronger that hits you, like at least if they have their second or third squad back, like at least it won't completely burn them, and it gives them time to be like, oh crap, someone big is actually hitting me. So you're basically like,
Right.
especially in an SVS setting, you're helping them to when you give them more time to react, and then also you're killing more of the person's troops, so they have to bring it back to their base before, hopefully bring it back to their base before sending it out again. So it just buys more time as well.
Right. And that's where, like, if you're free to play players or low level spenders,
Mm-hmm.
just know that just because your power is low doesn't mean you can't do anything. No,
Mm-hmm.
you do a lot by just taking up that space, right? The
Mm-hmm.
3 by 3
Yep.
square. You can just get ashed, and that space is not being held by your opponent in that space. And you garrison one or two people. Now they can focus on somebody else. So you are kind of like a soft cushion for them. And
Mm-hmm.
that's huge. People don't think those small little losses as a win. It is.
Mm-hmm.
It is huge for those big spenders because they're like, I don't have to worry about it because 10 low level spenders are backing me up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actually, there was I think it was against 11. No, who was it against? I can't remember. There was some SVS that we did, and I just remember. So I'm not a whale by any means, and I was pretty much out of troops completely, but what I did is I just kept like teleporting right next to Neff constantly. Like anytime that somebody would get ashed, I would make sure I teleported in there as quick as I could if it let me. So that way, somebody like Chubbs or anybody who's like 300 mil overall power wouldn't be able to keep like hammering Neff as he's trying to take over the other things. And if they were trying to hammer him, at least they had a longer march time to get there and to bounce and get back to their base. And so I was just constantly just buying teleports, getting ashed, and I was like, well, I have nothing to lose at this point. You know, I got no troops left, but at least I
Right.
can help out.
And that's the mindset that you have to have. It's like, hey, I can't compete with them, but let me be a distraction. And that itself is a huge help, because if they have to spend 3 seconds to do a march against the guy you're trying to protect, well, that's 3 seconds, and multiply that with three others, then it's
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, instead of switching to Neff, they switch to you. It's like, well, there's a huge distraction.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be marching towards you, but they are actually going to march towards Neff. It's like that buys him time to do other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. What would you say are some of the mistakes that you've seen low level spenders make?
Often I see the low level spenders are frustrated and just buying for the sake of buying for short term power
Mm-hmm.
spikes and not knowing what to spend it on. Have it idle in the game and follow their tracks and mistakes so you can do better.
Mm-hmm.
Don't spend without a purpose. Grind like the free to play players
Mm-hmm.
do. I'm no Mr. Miyagi, but what he said, I do use daily. Wax on, wax off. You know, they're the foundation. So spend money with as little, but gain the most amount of advantage by spending it on the right places.
Mm-hmm.
Do with tact and aim to take down slash leave that impression, on the mid level whales, megalodons, whatever you call it,
Mm-hmm.
that you are doing something, that you are contributing. When you're spending on things that it's gonna take forever as a return, that itself is like you're not gonna get the most benefit.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing the short term power spike, somebody who is doing it well can crush you, and then you're frustrated and you're like, screw this, I'm gonna stop playing the game altogether. So don't get to that point, give yourself some break and spend it where you can gain the most benefit overall. Like I said, last word is a grind game, and the more you can grind, the better you become.
Yeah. No, 100%. It's definitely the more time you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. Even as a free to play player, like there's this guy that I've seen. Actually, I may have him on at a future date, but he is on the game like nonstop. He's retired, so he just lives his best life. He's on the game 24/7, free to play player. But he gets like every single dig. Like he grows pretty fast for a free to play player because he literally gets everything and like maxes everything possible or takes advantage of everything possible for events, for just collecting resources, for digs, like all that stuff. So yeah, it's definitely a grind game for sure.
Yeah, and see, like, and that's what I tell people is like, hey, those free things that comes into you over time, they add up. So when you need to finish that building, you gotten all those free resources, and you can just plow through it when it's
Mm-hmm.
needed, and now you're at a stable place.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you miss these digs or these events, and now you're like, I have to go hunt for resources, and you're like, I don't have that much time, and it becomes frustration, and that leads to, what, forget it.
Yeah.
Don't get to that point.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just ask for help. It'll save you a lot of frustration and a lot of time. One thing I believe in a lot is mentorship, even outside of just like the game, just being mentored in all areas of your life, and that way you can avoid the mistakes that they made, and they can help you grow faster. And I think it applies just the same to a game like this. But uh,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so let's shift to mid-level spenders. So let's say $200 to $500 per week. What are the things that they should be focused on when it comes to spending?
Mid-level spenders should focus on everything that free-to-play players and low-level players, but they should do a checklist and do more on the drone, hero gears, and tech trees.
Mm.
Drone gives a lot of power,
Mm-hmm.
and having those hero gears gives you a lot of gusto per se.
Mm.
So their primary focus is to be the annoyance to the other alliance during Warzone and cross-server alliance missions.
Mm-hmm.
When you're capturing those strongholds or capital war, the SVS, be the annoyance. Trust me, it goes a long way. for a mid-level spender, you need to have the power and the resiliency, which can only be achieved through drone component upgrades, specific hero gears upgrades, and maximizing those tech trees
Hmm.
for each hero archetype. Those tank, aircraft, and missile. So focus on those areas because they are going to give you the ability to be that somewhat of like a masked whale. Neff once put it, dolphin.
Mm-hmm.
So be that dolphin, you know.
Right. It's actually, I don't know why it just gave me the analogy of like someone who goes to the gym and they wear kind of like a longer t-shirt or whatever, but they're like super jacked, and it's called like a sleeper build, where like it doesn't look like they're that strong, but then they're actually like freaking jacked. You just can't see it.
Right.
Have a sleeper build if you're a mid-level spender.
Exactly. I'm telling you, they come out of nowhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you see that the whale has three squads, they're protecting three things,
Mm-hmm.
and their fourth squad is protecting their base. Mid-level can easily take that down, right? Or they can pull one of the whale's stronger squad back.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge win because now instead of protecting three structures, they now can only protect two.
Hmm.
So when you think of that strategy, it's like, hey, as a mid-level spender, I can still make that impact. That's huge.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. What would you say are some whale traps? So, for example, things that mid-level spenders spend that aren't really worth it in the long term that they should be avoiding.
Don't buy everything. Seriously, like you're a mid-level spender, and buying everything means like, your pocket is deep, and then you should be considered as a whale.
Mm-hmm.
So think of your hard-earned money to contribute to your target and needs. So those three things, drone, hero gears, and tech trees, they're gonna go a long way.
Mm-hmm.
So buying everything out of the store is great if you have it, but most like me, I don't have that. So I target only what I need.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to focus more on hero gears, I just buy things that boost my hero gears. So stuff like bullseye loot, it gives you the ores and the mythic prints. Great. The glittering market has
Oh, yeah.
ores and decorations. Wonderful, right? These are not going to give you the instant spike up in power, but overall, they contribute to every single squad.
Mm-hmm.
The decorations, those power spikes goes to every single squad and heroes, right? Which is great. So you want to focus on those type of mindset that I want to focus on these specific areas where it's going to boost up all of my heroes or my squads.
Yeah, no, those are good. Would you say that's probably the biggest mistake that mid-level spenders make, or or is there like a more common one that you've seen as well?
The common ones I see is mid-level spenders are spending on buying resource packs. It seems silly to me. Like, don't buy resource pack. You can plow through. You have enough power to plow through those free events and get those resources.
Mm.
You can hunt those resources easily. Just focus on that aspect. It's like, I want to just focus on increasing my hero gear. So what do I need to do? Like, get a lot of ores, right? Which is like the foundation to your squad power.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just having that mindset it's what mid-level spenders should focus on. Is like, how can I target and increase my squad powers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like kind of the common theme is like how can you make with really any, just like the game itself, because obviously it's a war game, is everything else doesn't matter besides the fact of like how strong are your squads. Like that's really all that matters at the end of the day. And obviously the other things
Right.
come into play to help with that, like your different like mines, like to get resources, like all the events, things like that is just those small little parts of it. But at the end of the day, the whole goal is like how strong can you get your squads to make the biggest impact in your like wars, SVSs, things like that. But what would you say? So let's say you have a mid-level spender and also someone like a whale, or maybe not a megalodon, but yeah, I guess maybe like a whale. How or is there a way that a mid-level spender can outpace or at least keep up with a whale who maybe spends more but spends poorly?
Yeah, so the goal for mid-level spenders should be to focus on the tech tree and gear.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stress enough when I see squads with mismatched gears.
Mm.
There's a part of me where it's just like, I just want to talk to you and just tell you, hey, your gear placement is poor.
Mm.
It's terrible. Like, can you just change it up? And I often did that with a lot of my people that I faced against my opponents. I'm like, hey, I think you could do much better with this way. The squad is powerful, but they fail when they go against players with proper gears and the right heroes. Like, don't put defensive gears on an attack hero and expect a result
Right.
like crazy. No, it's not going to happen because they're going to crush you with the right gear placement. It also has to do with knowing the enemy too. Like, when you place these gears, you want to make sure that you target your enemy, whoever is sending their squad. So if they're sending air squad, don't leave your tank squad in base. They're going to get crushed because they're going to do 2 times the damage on the tank and whatever squad is left. So if they're hitting you with air squad, attack them with your tank squad because your air is going to do 1-to-1 damage to your air, and your missile squad is going to do 2 times the damage to their air squad. So most likely you're going to win that fight.
Yeah.
And since they have their air squad out of the base, your tank squad is going to do 2 times the hit on their missile squad and 1-to-1 ratio on their tank squad. So there's a huge mindset when you see your enemy hitting you with all of their squad and one of your squad is taking them down. That's a huge win.
Yeah.
It works great when during server versus server.
Yeah, 100%. It's always the most satisfying thing for me too. Whenever, like, let's say if I've been like losing against a certain guy and I finally get my hero power up high enough where I can compete with him, and then you finally get that first bounce off the wall, you're like, let's freaking go.
And that satisfaction goes a long way. And I see that often. And I tell the low level and the free to play players is like, hey, target them when they have their squads out. And when they get that win, it's like, then there's a little bit of banter goes on between the opponent and the player. Is like, oh, next time I see you, I'm gonna crush you or ask you.
Right.
And they're like, okay, you can try. I know I'm gonna lose, but at least right now I got the win.
Yep.
And that matters a lot.
That's funny, yeah. No, the trash talk definitely makes things more fun. At the end of the day, it's all like fun and games, but it makes it more exciting, I think, when you have like stakes, quote unquote, on the line.
Right. And it's fun for me. I get a lot of my joy when I see the low level or the mid level or the free to play players are saying like, I can't believe I just took him down, or they would send screenshot like, yep, I took him down. And it's like, see, like there's a little bit of joy that comes out of them, and I find that joyful seeing them winning.
Yeah.
Seeing them defeating somebody that they could never defeat.
Right.
It's fun for me.
Oh yeah. So let's kind of shift topics. So we've talked about free to play, low level spenders, and mid level spenders, and just how to grow in those areas. What about growing a server as a whole? So like, let's say if somebody is a president that's listening to a server, or just like a significant figure or a leader in a server, how can that person, the server president or significant leader, foster cooperation between whales, mid-level spenders, low-level spenders, free to play? Like, how can they really make sure that everyone's working well together as a team and that the server is growing as a whole?
The server president needs to understand, regardless of player strength or spending habits, body count during Warzone and SVS type missions is critical. So the more players you have, the better you can have the win. Your server players trying to complete a task and the cross server players are being hindrance. It gives another thing that players must focus on. It's like you want to make sure that your free to play players are enjoying the game, because the server president can say like, oh, I'm just going to focus on the whales and whoever is spending. No, like you need those body counts. If 50 players who are just low tier players are surrounding an objective, then the marching time for those whales are going to be huge. They're going to have to take down a lot of low level players to get to that, to minimize their distance. Those things becomes huge. So as a president, you want to foster a relationship between your players in the entire server and encourage those leaders to speak up, participate in world chat, not with drama, just ask for help, or share their victories, give them, if you have eggs, drop those eggs. Those goes a long way. And really, like, consider that when it comes to those server versus server, those free to play players or low level are huge body count.
Yeah.
The amount of body you have, it counts a lot. Like if you look at our track record, a lot of our win came because we had the body count.
Mm.
We were able to succeed because we were able to make those march speed a little bit longer. The whales, the mid-level spenders, they had to use diamonds to get to those, and that's huge because you're gonna run out of them. There's only finite amount of resource
Yeah.
of diamonds.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember that there's been some times where I was like, I know I can't beat these people, but I was like, let me just make them spend as much money or as much like resources as possible, and just because maybe like down the road, long term, it'll like near the end of the SVS or whatever it was that they'll be like, okay, like I'm out of it because this guy just like drained me because he just kept making me spend all my resources and diamonds and things like that. That was kind of one of my, I guess, little
Right.
maybe it didn't make a difference. I don't know, but that was kind of just my mindset around it.
Yeah, and it's to you it was fun. To them, it's like, God dang it! Like I spent so much trying to get this win, and we still ended up losing. And then
Hmm.
you kind of like don't want to play anymore because you kind of crushed their spirit, their
Hmm.
playing spirit, and that's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
that itself is like subtle, subliminal, like trash talking. It's like, yeah, what are you gonna do now?
Oh yeah,
Next time we face you, make sure you have the same amount, if not more, if you want to defeat me or us.
for sure. Yeah, definitely. What have you done to encourage people to get event participation? Because, like you said, it's obviously a really big thing having numbers and bodies in things like SVS, for example. Like, how do you make sure that people are showing up and actually participating? And also, how do you reduce, let's say, like if there's some kind of drama, how do you like handle that as well?
So I tried to speak to each player when alliance versus alliance or player versus player type of situation arise.
Mm-hmm.
I try to figure out where they're coming from, what's going on, and have them really like talk to each other,
Mm-hmm.
like lay out the differences because only then you will understand what's going on. As a president, it doesn't mean that you have to intervene in every situation. You have a life too. Like you want them to be able to resolve this because when you're sleeping and there's something going on, you want to encourage those alliance leaders to talk to each other to resolve it or get ahead of it before the players goes rogue and start asking everybody. You don't want that discord to happen.
Yeah.
You want to create a relationship between players so that one day they can be band of brothers. It's like, hey, I know we had our differences, but now we can work together.
Mm-hmm.
And then really encourage those leaders to come up with a solution so that you as the president don't have to step in every time. And I hate to say it, when things goes crazy, step back and see how it unfolds because often either they will resolve it, and if they don't, that's when you can step in and really get the backing of your alliance to go and just like resolve it through asking or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't want to get to that extreme unless it really has to. And if players start to get that fear that, hey, I might act up and I'm gonna get ashed, they might just quit, and now you have one less body count.
Yeah.
And other players are gonna say like, they're gonna start to think that, hey, if I act up at any given moment, this entire alliance is gonna come and ask me and my friends
Mm.
for playing. It get into the fear rather than
Mm.
creating fear. Just try to say like, hey, resolve it. If you need a mediator, there is R4s, alliance leaders that can step in and give you a hand. Just
Mm.
don't get into that where, you know what, this is going to be the end of me, so I'm just going to go and ask everybody. Because it doesn't help anybody. And then, you don't enjoy it. Nobody enjoys it. So you
Mm.
don't want to get to that situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. I know we've had some of that in 11:30 for sure. Which, to be honest, looking back, some of them were kind of funny. Like there was in a previous podcast we talked with Pit Boss from 11:30, and he had one of those moments where he just went rogue. And I actually didn't even talk about this part in the podcast, which I wish I would have. But it was kind of funny because he was like rating people's walls, giving them like A, B, C, D. Like giving them grades. So he would like hit somebody's wall and be like, "I'll give it a C minus. Like you need to work on your squad here," as he's like just destroying our hive. It was pretty funny, but
Yeah, I mean, that's funny, but at the same time, if you think about it, he
mm-hmm.
was doing strategically to say, hey, you need to work on this area.
Mm.
And I haven't done it, but we have had our own share of those situations.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up being like we all had to discuss and agree that, yeah, we're just gonna make sure that this person is always gonna be on kill. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you see them, don't let them get any power, just ash them.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah, so we had to issue that. It sucks, and we try to talk to them, but they're like, they don't care.
Mm.
And it's a huge morale killer, you don't want to get to that level.
Yeah. No, definitely. What would you say? I guess, how have you planned your SVS strategy around your server spending power? So obviously we've talked about bodies, but is there a strategy that goes into it based off of your, like, I guess, how strong obviously like your whales are and things like that, and like how much your server as a whole spends?
Yeah, so I don't force people to spend money. I think that they should play as if the game is free
Mm-hmm.
and just play it as that. And really, at the end of the day, if you're the president or if you're the strategist for the server, you want to focus on how to utilize what you have to get you that win.
Mm.
This is like a long time ago, but I remember when we were facing against Captain No Name.
Mm.
He was so powerful. None of us could compete with him, right? He was the NEF level strength when we were still heading towards level 30.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was already at maxed and everything, and he's
Yeah.
a great guy. But facing against him and his server to win the Capital War, everybody was panicking. It's like, how do we get this win? Because if he just occupies, there's nothing we can do.
Mm.
So I had to like think of a way. It's like, okay, there's the David versus Goliath, right,
Mm-hmm.
moment happened. So I had to say like, hey guys, here's what we're gonna do. At any given time, we're just gonna focus on 2 to 3 turrets. Forget about the capital war. We need to first minimize the troop count that the entire server has.
Mm.
So we focused on having like certain alliances grouped together to focus on 1 or 2 alliances that are going to be in that turret
Mm.
and just try to ash as many as possible and get their troop count down.
Mm.
Then we focused on like, okay, how do we take down No Name at that time? And
Mm.
we were like, okay, now everybody just make sure you have because prior to the war, I had told everybody to have their drill grounds full,
Mm-hmm.
and we were just like spamming. We were losing troops like crazy on him, but we were able to get that win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Second time when we faced them, he was even more strong, and we were like in the same situation, but changed up the tactics.
Mm.
And we also got the win. It's like having the huge amount of players coming in and supporting and helping. It gave us that win.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of used the same strategy on Nef as well, and it worked out. Like I said, I try to think those servers that are much stronger than us, like how can we still win with what we have? We're not going to be able to drop a huge amount of cash to get the win, but it's like, okay, these are the targets. These certain players, these 4 to 5 players are going to be huge.
Mm.
So now we have to man up with 3 to 5 players on one of those players.
Yeah.
So if this person has 200 million, now we have 3 to 5 players who are 150, just constantly berating them and getting their troops down,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that got us the win. It's like I remember strategizing, like making sure that we had 3 to 5 players from each alliance
Mm-hmm.
to go against their big players and getting that, like, making sure that no matter where they go, you're going to teleport next to them and keep on getting that constant, persistent attack.
Mm.
And that got us win. So we played the same tactics over and over and mix and match. And it's funny, the cross servers, when they were facing against the same opponent, they would reach out to me, and I said, "Oh, this is what I did," and they got the win. So I was like, "Oh man, I should not have opened my mouth."
That's funny. Oh man. What about, like, did you guys ever have times where you'd have to merge some of these like weaker alliances to make stronger ones? And if so, like, was it pretty challenging to do that?
It's a really different mindset. Like I said, this game also has to deal with a lot of mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Alliance leaders, they don't want to move, they don't want to change. And when you're saying like, hey, if you 3 small alliance merge into this one ginormous one, you will have much better power as well as you will be able to help.
Mm-hmm.
And don't let go of the small alliances, but give it to somebody who can grow that alliance and grow those players.
Mm-hmm.
But you should merge. And they were like, no, We don't want to. We're fine. We're good. And it's that frustrating because it's like, why not? You
Yeah.
understand that if many people join in, you have a better time with verses or with players quarreling because you all have the same mindset.
And you
So
get better rewards.
right, like that should be the end goal. It's like, hey, how can the whole alliance get a huge boost of resources? But they don't want to, and it's just like, how much can you say and speak to them up until you say, you know what, I can't deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
Some of them we had to give up. The others they cooperated, and it got really, really good. You have like-minded people joining the same alliance, and they're working together to make it really strong.
Yeah, definitely. That's pretty much the main topics I wanted to cover. And I guess the last things would be, do you have any tips that maybe we haven't covered yet that you wanted to share, or do you feel like we kind of went over everything?
There's the nuance of this game is always changing. I mean, for the most part, it's very basic, but really ask, ask. I can't stress enough. Ask players. If you see somebody growing, ask them, how are they growing so fast? It's okay. Set aside your pride and really ask so that you can do better. And for those whales and so on, really try to be a little mindful and help them as well. Help other players grow as well. You're on the same server. It's your home. Make
Yeah,
it better.
for sure.
The tips I would say is like we covered most of it, but focus on those daily tasks. They are huge. If you get a repetition going and if you know that these are the things that you have to do it on a day-to-day basis, once it becomes your day task, then it becomes your rep and you can do it easily and then you can just bang it out and then move on to the other stuff. So try to do that as much as possible.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, those daily tasks definitely add up, especially over a longer time horizon. They can definitely make a pretty big difference overall. But yeah, Hawk, thanks so much for joining the podcast and thanks for sharing these awesome tips. This is really, really helpful and lots of great information for everybody watching.
Yeah, and thank you for inviting me. And honestly, as we keep on growing, I'll share more and you will have more people who are going to show a different perspective. So thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely.